Cheers, brewers. Nah, that's the black bitter with the rice syrup that I made. Now it's a nice beer. But that's the thing about all things that are nice. There's generally nothing wow about them. So it has the smoothness of the dark malts in the dark malt extract that I put in, and it certainly has a there's a slight dark chocolate aroma from it. And the bitterness is more mellow than I thought it would be, considering I used that Mangrove Jack's classic bitter extract, which I have reviewed just when I made it with a kilo of light dry malt. And yeah, it seems to have it's not as bitter, and that's surprising because there is also the roasted malts in the dark malt extract. As for the yeast, in the S189, the flavour is still, I think it does dull. It's not as, you don't get as much flavour from the malt and the hops that you would from that I find from the 3470. So again, I'm left with the dilemma of do I go with a lager yeast that gives me all the flavours I want but can get a headache after one beer, or do I go with a yeast that dulls some of the flavour that I'm after but don't get a headache? Still yet to make a determination on that. Although I did make that the decoction Pilsner, I used the 3470 again. And I wanted to, it has taken me a while to brew, to make this tasting video, because I wanted to also taste the English IPA that I made, and I have to work away a lot, and while I was away there was a power outage, and that was during the time of I guess peak fermentation. So those English, the SO4, it's a really active fermentation I've found, and it must have really fermented hot, and so yeah, the beer was just, even after I let it sort of try and rest for I don't know, about a month maybe. I tried a glass yesterday, and it's just, for me it's not enjoyable. So I tipped it. I didn't bother filming it because you would have just heard someone complain about a beer they made, and really I didn't want to give it to anyone as it was. I don't like to give people substandard beer or anything I make. Yeah, it was just really disappointing that went to all that trouble and have to go away for work. Power goes out, so I can't take any other measures to keep the fermentation chamber down to a reasonable fermentation temperature. And yeah, it was just too hot. That plus I also added the brown sugar, very easy for the yeast to digest, so that would have also ramped up the temperature when they were munching through that. So in the end I lost that beer. But in saying that, that beer also had a bit of problem fermenting. I had to get a new Cooper's tap So the old one, I think I might have tossed the old one. The old one, when you push it one way, it would always spring back and shut off. And with the new one that I bought, I pushed it down and I thought it sprung back, but overnight, and that was to get a gravity sample to see if the fermentation was over. And overnight it had leaked about half the beer out into the fermentation chamber, so that was not fun cleaning up. But now I know that if I'm going to get a gravity sample from the tap to check it, harsh lesson to learn, I guess, but nevertheless, one lesson learned. And recently you would have seen a video where I brewed an amber ale, and I used Galaxy and Topaz hops with no bittering addition, and I only boiled for 30 minutes. Now, the reason for that is all to do with there's no need to throw in a bittering addition for if you do a lot of later hops, especially with hops that are high in cohumulone. Now, what is cohumulone? It's one of the oils that exist in the hop plant or the hop flower, and it is one of the things that give us our bitterness. But the cohumulone levels are the ones correlated to perceived bitterness. And so if you're going, 30 is the threshold that I work with. I learned it from the Stan Hieronymus For the Love of Hops book. So Galaxy generally is above 30 and Topaz is above 40 in terms of cohumulone levels. So with a high level of perceived bitterness, your actual IBUs don't need to be that high, whereas a hop like Amarillo, where the cohumulone level is about 20%, you can have your IBUs at, let's say, 30 for example, and you make another beer. If you want to do an all Galaxy hop beer and get it to 30 IBUs with a bittering hop addition, the Galaxy one will seem a lot more bitter, despite them being both 30 IBUs according to the scale. And the so yeah, if you are unsure what the cohumulone levels are, work out, just do a Google search on the specific hop, and it'll give you a range that it averages of cohumulone levels. And if you want to be risk averse, go with the higher level cohumulone levels, so you know if it's above 30. I think Super Pride is one that goes 28 to 32. So, and I think that is a good bittering hop. Yeah, it's one of the best for me. But is it always above 30? I don't know. I've only gone through a couple of packets of the Super Pride hops, so I don't think either of those packets have been above 30. Yeah, so that's why I think it's made a good beer. And I had a taste of the wort for the Galaxy Topaz Amber Ale, and it was strong in bitterness, and my target was, or my estimate IBUs was 28. Yeah, but we'll see how it ferments, because you do lose bitterness during fermentation, and you also lose bitterness in the bubbles of the beer, or the carbonation. So in summary, this black bitter, it's nice, but I won't be brewing it again. I think I'd rather take up my keys of space with something I really want to drink all the time. Yeah, So, on that note, cheers.